Good morning, this is your Math Sensei, Mr. Spensei, and this will be a video breaking down the star domain and range questions. It'll be problems 1 through 14. The remainder of the questions will be in a second video. So the first question, which graph shows a function with a domain of all real numbers greater than 7? So we got a bunch of keywords there. One of those keywords is domain. All right. And the key thing about domain is domain lets me know that we're talking about the x values. So that means we'll be drawing to the x values. All real numbers lets me know that I'm going to have an arrow. And greater than 7 means that it's going to be that symbol, which means I need a hollow. Well, when I look at all these graphs, all of them have a hollow. So that didn't help out a whole lot. All right. The hollow part didn't. But what's going to matter is this greater than 7. So I need to be drawing to the x-axis at 7. Well, and I need to be pointing to the right or up. So I can get rid of this one because it's pointing down. So it's either going to be to the right or up because it's greater than. So the only ones that are greater than is pointing up or to the right. But we have to draw to the x-axis. Well, this very first one is drawing to the x-axis, so it looks pretty good. Looks like that's my answer. This one's drawing to the y-axis. That means that is not correct. We already eliminated B because it was drawing down. And when we go to D's tricky. All right. But it's in the y direction. It's running parallel. So we're drawing to the y-axis. So this would be y greater than 7. So this isn't correct. Even though it's at 7 here on the x-axis, and we can see that it draws to the x-axis, it's just x not equal. It's the x is equal to 7 because it never changes. All right. So the we're not drawing to the x-axis. We're saying y is greater than 7 because it's going in the y direction. Remember, y is up and down, while x is left to right. So if we're looking for a domain where you have to be going left to right, this one's going left to right, and it definitely is drawn to 7. This is my best answer. So the answer to number 1 is A. Moving on to number 2. All right, the number of ferry boats trips needed to transport cars in one day can be found using the function f of c equals c over 20 if there are no more than 5,000 cars transported uh, by the ferry per day. What is the range of the function? So we're looking for the range. So that my keyword, we have a couple things. We have range. We have this and the number of ferry boat trips. All right. So what they're asking for, the number of ferry boat trips equals the number of cars divided by 20. Well, so the number of ferry boat trips sorry for the poor penmanship. The number of ferry boat trips equals the number of cars divided by 20. Well, we said, not 200, but 20. We said that there could be no more than 5,000 cars. So this has to be less than 5,000. So I'm just going to put the number to speed it up is less than 5,000 divided by 20 because they told us C cars. So C cars, that means, oh, we have cars. C is for cars. So we're just going to plug in 5,000. We're going to take a calculator and we could use it on Desmos if we wanted to. We take the calculator and we go 5,000 divided by 20 and we get 250. So the number of ferry boat trips is less than 250. So, and it could be no more. So it could be equal. All right. It could be exactly 250. So the range is going to be the set of all integers from 0 to 250 because it's possible we'd have 0 cars. We don't know how many cars we're going to have, but no more. That means less than or equal to 250. All right. So we know it gets rid of the 5,000s. This says greater than, and it's not greater than. All right. And so it has to be less than 250, but it can't be a negative number of cars. So 0 to 250 looks like that's my best answer. The answer number two is D. All right, number three, what is the range of the function below? All right, our keyword there is range. All right, and please remember range is our y. They were nice enough to label this, so this is x. Remember, f of x just means y. So our y values in order from least to greatest are -9, -4, and 1. And just to remind ourselves, x, y, and remember this is the same as saying f of x. We would have in this case -7, -1, -2, -4, 0, -1, and 5, -9. But our range is going to be -9 first, then -4, then -1. We don't worry about the repeats. This is, in fact, a function, not that they asked us, but -5, -4, -1. So our best answer to this is G because we were looking for the y values since they were asking for the range. All right, moving on to number 4. The mapping below represents all of the points on the graph of function f. All right, what is the domain? So here's the key phrase. They're asking for domain. I'm going to switch colors up to a domain. Oops, that didn't work. Got some lights going off in here. Hate that when that happens. All right. So what is the domain? Well, domain is asking for the x values. So, and right here we have our y. And once again, just to remind ourselves, if we have a mapping, it usually works best to make a t-chart. And we have -4, 0, -1, 1, 0, -5, 2, 4, and 7, 2. If we notice, this is in fact a function, and they called it a function. The reason it's a function is because the x's do not repeat. So -4, 1, 0, 2, 7, we're looking for the x's because we're asking for the domain. And there it is, -4, -1, 0, 2, and 7. So the answer number 4 is F. Number 5, function f is graphed below. Yes, it is. What is the range? All right. So here's our keyword. Our keyword here is range. I'm trying to find the best color. The range is our y. All right. So we're going to be drawing to our y-axis. And also with range, we're going from bottom to top or least to greatest, but we always draw to the y-axis. So drawing to the y-axis, like, okay, -3. So we know it's going to be -3. It's a continuous function, so we have to use an inequality. And it's a solid, so this is going to be a less than or equal to y. And we're going to a hollow, and that hollow is at 3. All right. Hollows are just less than because it doesn't include that. So -3, less than or equal to y, less than 3. Well, we can immediately get rid of these with the x's. All right. Now, we need to match our symbols. Less than or equal to. Well, this doesn't have that, but this one does, and the top one matches. Our best answer to number 5 is D. Moving right along to number 6. What is the range of the function graphed on the grid? All right, so what is the range of the function graphed on the grid? Once again, they're asking for, our keyword here is range. And so they're asking for the y values, which means we're drawing to the y-axis, which means we're starting at the bottom and going to the top. And it's going to be least to greatest. So drawing to the y-axis, my lowest value is -3. So -3 It's a Y. And because this is a solid, this includes it, so it has the line underneath it. All right. And then my highest value, drawing to the Y-axis, is at 4. It's also a solid, so it gets a line underneath it. So -3 less than or equal to Y less than 4. All right. So first off, we can get rid of anything with X's. We can eliminate this because this is for discrete where you list individual points. Here we are connected, so this is continuous. So we get rid of that. So now we just need to make sure that we have the lowest point, which is -3, which is right here, and our highest point is 4, and our symbols match. Looks like our best answer choice is G. All right, number 7. A plane carrying a maximum cargo weight of 160,000 pounds. A company uses one of the planes to ship 2,000 pounds containers. A total cargo weight is a function of the number of containers on the plane. So F of n, function of the number, equals 2,000 times n. All right? But they know that the maximum has to be less than 160. So we can sit there and go, you know what? 160,000, and we have to be less than that value, equals 2,000 n. Well, I can solve that using Desmos. I'm going to use my calculator and just divide both sides by 2,000. And I end up getting 80 equals n. Because this was being multiplied, so we had to do the inverse, which is divide. And 160,123 divided by 2,123 is 80. So our answer to number 7 is 80. Number 8, the student council sent its members on 4 field trips during the school year. The number of buses needed to transport the members on each trip is a function of the number of members who went on the trip. This function consists only of the ordered pairs 52 and 3, 72 and 4, 86 and 5, 105 and 6. What is the domain for the situation? All right, keyword here is, or one of the keywords is domain. So we care about the X values. All right, and they told us we had these ordered pairs. Remember, ordered pairs are made of X and Y's, and I'm going to copy them down real quickly. So X, Y, my first one is 52, 3. My next one is 72, 4. Then I have 86, 5. And then I have 105, 6. All right. Remember, my domain is the X values. So what are my X values? Well, 52, 76, 86, and 105. So my answer choice number 8 is H. All right. Moving right along to number 9. All right. The table shows some ordered pairs that belong to a quadratic function. Okay, so there's a key word. This is a quadratic. All right, and it asks for the range. Please remember, range is going to be the Y values. This is a case where we're really going to use Desmos. I'm going to pause this video right here for just a moment. All right, a couple things to note. We have X and H of X. This H of X just means this is my Y value, so we have X and H of X. And like I said, we need to go to Desmos with this. So I'm about to switch over and go to the Desmos, and I'm going to input these values right here into a table. So you won't be able to see those values as I do that, but you'll be able to see the table once I switch over. So here we go with the share. At least I hope so. Boom. All right, we should be sharing at this point. I'm going to hit the plus button, and I'm going to say, okay, we need to go to the table. At this point, I'm going to type in my X values, -4, down arrow, -2, down arrow, 0, down arrow, 2, enter, 3, enter, 4, enter, 6, enter. Check those, make sure those are right. They are, or at least they look like they are. 41, down arrow, 17, down arrow, 1, down arrow, -7. Oops, -7. Wow, I got off. 17, 1, -7. There we go. -8, -7, and 1. So I have all those answers, all those in there. The top one is wrong. Always go back and check to make sure. So 41, 17, 1, -7, -8, -7, 1. I have those in there. Now that I have those in there, I'm going to go to this weird symbol that says add regression. And the first thing that shows up is linear. But if I remember correctly, when I read that thing, it said it was a quadratic. So if I go and click this arrow, I get a whole list of different types of regression. And during the course, we'll use more of those, but we're going to select the quadratic because that's what they told us. And I get this particular graph. Well, when I look at this graph, it goes off of the page. So I need to shrink it down. So I'm going to hit the minus sign and zoom out a little bit. And there we go. And I go, okay, what is the minimum value? And the minimum value is -8. And if I keep scrolling up, it just keeps going. So it's going to infinity, and we have a minimum value of -8. So with that said, and we're talking about the range. So if I drew a line, it'd be to the -8 value for the y. So I stop my share, and here's what we know. We have -8, a solid line because we had a solid line on the graph, less than or equal to y less than infinity. All right. Well, we can't have infinity, so we end up with y is greater than or equal to -8 because we have to flip it. So basically, any number greater than 8, any number greater than -8, the only one that has that is h. And anytime you have infinity, you go, oh, it's going to be all real numbers. Well, all real numbers, all real numbers, all real numbers. But in this case, we know that we had to be bigger than -8 because it opened up. All right. The graph of the exponential function is shown on the grid. The range, based on the graph, which statement is true? The range of all set is the set of all real numbers less than 0. Well, range is y. And if I look at my y, it's like, oh, we're not less than 0. We are greater than 0. So this is wrong because it says less, and we're actually greater than 0. So this goes away. The domain is a set of all real numbers greater than -4. Well, I see this and I'm like, that's possible, but it's possible that this arrow continues on to negative infinity. So I'm not sure about that one. So that's a maybe. The range is the set of all real numbers greater than 0. Well, I can look at this and go, you know what? It's always bigger than 0, and the range is going up to infinity, and this is going perfectly flat, so it never gets negative. I like this answer because it is greater than 0. And so while that was possible, C is the best answer. And basically what that means for this one is the domain, or the x's, we're going to negative infinity because this arrow is getting wider and wider and wider. And so even though it's going slowly, it's still going in a negative x direction forever. Okay? All right. So the best answer to number 10 is C. Moving on to number 11. The total cost in dollars to buy uniforms of players on a volleyball team can be found using the function C equals 34.95U plus 6.25, where U is the number of uniforms bought. If there are at least players but not more than 12 on the volleyball team, what is the domain of the function of this function for this situation? Well, first off, domain. That means we're care about the x values. All right. And in this case, we're care about the u values because we have C equals 34.95u plus 6.25. This is my input. This is my output. This is my dependent variable. And this is my independent variable. All right, so we're caring about the input or independent variable. So we're caring about the x because x is always the independent. So in this case, we really care about u. Well, there are at least 8 players, but not more than 12. So that means we have 8 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 12. That's what they told us. All right, because of this 8 players, but not more than 12. However, can you have part of a player? And the answer is no. You can't have 8.1. So we don't use inequalities here. We're going to have to count the players. We could have 8 players, 9 players, 10 players. This is wrong because we can't have parts of a player. At least we hope we don't. All right, unless there's a tragic accident. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Those are my x values. Those are my input. I know those are my x values because those are my inputs. That's my independent, and x is my independent. So that's my domain. Okay. So the best answer to number 11 is H. Number 12. A student rode a bike from school to a recreation center. The graph shows the student's distance in miles from the recreation center after riding the bike for X minutes. So we have distance and time. All right. What is the range for this function? All right. So our keyword here is range, and range is our y values. So here's my y value. So this is my y-axis, and they labeled it nice and neat for us. And this is my x-axis. So what is the range? Well, if I look at this, it's like, well, I have to draw from the lowest point, and the lowest point on my range is 0. So 0 less than or equal to y, because it was a solid dot, all right, to the highest point on the y-axis, which happened to be 9. So less than or equal to 9. So it could be any number between 0 and 9. All right. So all real numbers greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 28. No, we said 0 to 9. That 28 is on the x-axis. We always have to draw to the y-axis, and the y-axis has this at 0 and 9. All right. So that gets rid of this one because this was the domain, which it did not ask for. All real numbers greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 9. Yes. All right. Because we have a solid dot, so we like this answer. All real numbers less than or equal to 28. Again, that's for the domain. And this is all real numbers less than or equal to 9. The problem with this one, and the reason this isn't right, is because that includes negative numbers. We only need it between 0 and 9. So 0 and 9 that we have right here is what we have there. This included negative numbers, and that's why this one is wrong. So our best answer to number 12 is H. Okay, moving on to number 13. Which graph represents a function with the domain of all real numbers greater than or equal to -7 and less than 2? So we have the word domain, so we know we're working with our x value. So we have to draw to our x-axis. It says greater than or equal to -7. All right. So -7 less than or equal to x, because x is greater than -7, and less than 2. Well, this means this has to be a solid at -7, and this has to be a hollow at +2. So let's draw to the x-axis. Well, this is -2, and we need a -7, so that's wrong. All right. This is -4, and we need a -7. So that's wrong. Remember, we're drawing to the x-axis. This says -3, and we need a -7. So that's wrong. This says -7, and we have a solid dot. That matches. This says 2. We have a hollow dot, and that matches. So our best answer to number 13 is D. Okay, moving on to number 14. A set of weights includes a 4-pound barbell and 6 pairs of weights. Each pair of weights weighs 20 pounds. If X pairs of plates are added to the barbell, the total weight of the barbell and plates can be represented by F of X equals 20 plus 4. What is the range of this function? All right. So basically they're asking for the range, and our range is our y values. So this could have been written as y equals 20x plus 4. Well, first off, we have 6 pairs of plates. How many could we add? We could add 0, we could add 1, we could add 2, we could add 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right? So the easiest way to go about doing this would be to plug this into Desmos. And I'm going to take a moment and shift over to Desmos. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to plug in 0 for the x. So we're going to have y equals 20 parentheses 0 plus 4. Y equals 20 parentheses 1 plus 4. Y equals 20 parentheses 2 plus 4. Y equals 23 plus 4. And I think I'm not going to do Desmos. I think I'm just going to calculate these by hand. And y equals 20 parentheses 6 plus 4. This is where using the TI-84 would actually be nice. So if I press clear, I go to the y equals, and I don't want that. I'm going to just hit clear, and I'm going to go 20 parentheses x, close parentheses, plus 4, blue graph, and I have a table, and we want 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this case, we get the first one, when it's 0, when x is 0, we end up with a T-chart. It looks like this. X, Y. 0 is 4 pounds. When it's 1, it's 24 pounds. Excuse me. When it's 2, it's 44 pounds. When it's 3, it's 64 pounds. When it's 4, it's 84 pounds. 5 is 104 pounds. And 6 is 124 pounds. They asked for the range, which is our y values. So these are the values they're looking for, which in this case means 4, 24, 44, 64, 84, 104, and 124. So number 14, the best answer choice is B. All right, I hope that helps. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you.